The stars stretched endlessly, cold and silent, as the flagship of the Zarina fleet cut through the darkness. On board, the alien Queen Zarina stood in the observation deck, her long fingers brushing the smooth glass of the viewport. She had commanded wars, conquered planets, and led fleets that could crush entire systems, but tonight her thoughts were far from her victories. They were back on Earth, on a small blue planet that had once been her home. Years ago, she had been Elena, a human scientist working on a project to foster understanding between species. She had laughed, argued, and shared quiet moments with humans who had treated her as a friend. Among them, one man had stood out, Jason Hale. He had been clever, brave, and fiercely loyal. Together, they had dreamed of a future where humans could live peacefully among other species. But those dreams had ended the day she was taken. Now Elena was gone, replaced by Zarina, the alien queen, feared across the galaxy. Her fleet was approaching a human colony on the edge of the Solera system, a critical hub for resources and strategy. The command had been clear: the humans must be subdued. War was coming, and she was the spearhead of it. Her soldiers moved with precision. Alien engines hummed through the corridors, and the bridge was alive with digital displays of strategy, attack vectors, and planetary defenses. Zarina watched quietly, her mind torn between the duty imposed by her empire and the flicker of humanity that still lingered deep inside. "Queen," said Commander Lyrith, her second in command, a tall being with iridescent scales that shimmered in the ship's dim light. "Our scouts report no major resistance yet. The humans are preparing, but they are not aware of our full strength." Zarina nodded slowly. "Prepare the first wave. I will lead personally if necessary." Lyrith hesitated. "Your presence is unexpected but effective. The fleet will follow your lead." She turned from the viewport, her expression unreadable. Years of human emotion had been buried beneath layers of alien resolve, yet she could not erase it completely. Memories of Earth, laughter, and friendship flickered through her mind like stars in the night sky. On the other side of the system, Commander Jason Hale moved among his troops. He was human through and through, with a strong jaw, piercing eyes, and a mind that could anticipate alien tactics better than most of his officers. The colony had received early warnings of an approaching fleet, but nothing had prepared them for the scale of Zarina's forces. Hale studied the incoming data with a careful eye. Alien ships were sleek, fast, and heavily armed, but he noticed something unusual. The formations were almost too perfect, too cautious in certain areas. There were small hesitations, moments when they held back instead of striking. Hale frowned. He could not explain it, but there was a strange pattern, as if the leader of the fleet was observing rather than attacking. The humans prepared their defenses, setting up energy shields, automated turrets, and evacuation plans for civilians. Hale walked among them, giving orders, inspiring courage. His soldiers trusted him implicitly, not just because of his skill, but because of the humanity he carried. They could feel it, and in a time of fear that was more powerful than any weapon. Meanwhile, Zarina's fleet entered orbit around the colony. She activated the ship's command console, watching the human movements below. Ships darted between orbital platforms, drones scanned for weak points, and Hale coordinated every action with precision. And then she saw him. Hale stood atop a reinforced platform, his voice carrying as he shouted orders. The stance, the gestures, the calm in the storm, it was him. The man she had once called her friend. Shock seized her. Her fingers tightened on the console. The memories came flooding back. Late-night conversations in the lab, shared jokes, plans for a peaceful future. And now he was the enemy. "Impossible," she whispered. Lyrith, sensing her hesitation, looked up. "Queen, it cannot be," she said, her voice trembling slightly, though she tried to mask it. "The human leading the defense? I know him. I once called him a friend. Jason Hale." Lyrith's eyes widened. "You knew him?" Zarina did not answer. Her mind was spinning. Duty demanded she lead the attack, crush the human colony, and secure victory for her empire. Yet a part of her, buried deep under years of alien conditioning, hesitated. This was no longer just a battle, it was personal. The first wave of attacks began. Alien ships descended toward the planet, energy beams slicing through the thin atmosphere. Human defenses fired back, turrets lighting up the darkness. Explosions shook orbital platforms, and alarms blared across the colony. Hale moved calmly through the chaos, issuing orders that saved lives and maximized defense. Zarina watched every move. Each strategic decision Hale made reminded her of the man he had been. Intelligent, compassionate, and unyielding in the face of danger. She felt a strange pull in her chest, a human response she had not expected to feel in years. On the battlefield, humans fought fiercely. Though outnumbered, they used terrain, ingenuity, and sheer determination to hold the aliens at bay. Hale personally led small squads to repair damaged turrets, coordinate evacuations, and even shield civilians from stray attacks. His courage inspired everyone around him. Zarina found herself conflicted. Her officers demanded orders, but she hesitated. Each decision felt heavier than the last. She could destroy Hale and end the resistance quickly, but doing so would mean killing someone she had once trusted, someone who had believed in her. The battle continued for hours. Orbital strikes, laser fire, and strategic maneuvers filled the sky. Humans adapted quickly, countering alien strategies with clever improvisation. Hale's leadership was evident in every move. He anticipated attacks, protected civilians, and minimized casualties. Finally, Zarina made a choice. She ordered her fleet to pause the full assault, holding back her most destructive weapons. Her officers were stunned. "Queen," Lirith said, "why are we holding fire? The humans are still strong, but we could break them entirely." Zarina's eyes remained fixed on the battlefield. "Because the one leading them, I know him, and I cannot destroy him without reason." Lirith hesitated but obeyed. Alien soldiers followed orders, yet murmurs spread through the fleet. Their queen was showing hesitation, and hesitation in war was dangerous. On the planet, Hale noticed the strange behavior of the alien fleet. The attacks were calculated, almost cautious, in ways he had never seen. His instincts told him something was unusual, that someone was holding back deliberately. He scanned the battlefield, searching for the reason. Hours passed. Casualties were mounting, but the humans remained resilient. Zarina watched, her heart torn between duty and lingering humanity. Memories of laughter, shared ideas, and mutual respect haunted her. Could she find a way to honor both her empire and the human she had once loved? As night fell on the colony, the battle slowed. Both sides took stock. Hale surveyed his troops, exhausted but resolute. Zarina retreated to her flagship's observation deck, staring at the distant lights of the colony. She knew the next move would define everything. Destroy the humans and shatter her past, or risk defying her empire and confronting the man she had once called a friend. She could not yet decide. In the quiet of the flagship, she allowed herself a single thought, a whisper to the void. "Jason, I never wanted this. Why are we enemies?" Below, Hale stared at the dark sky, sensing something more than strategy in the enemy's actions. Somewhere out there was someone he had once trusted, someone who now led the forces against him. He could not yet know who, but instinct told him this was no ordinary enemy. The stars were silent witnesses to the storm, as old friends faced the unbearable truth, that the past could collide with the present in ways that might change the fate of the galaxy itself. The first part of the battle had ended, but the war and the personal conflict had only just begun. Zarina turned from the viewport, her resolve forming slowly. She would need to confront her past, face her former human friend, and make choices that could change everything. War was inevitable, but perhaps there was a way to win without losing herself completely. And somewhere, deep inside her alien heart, a spark of the human Elena remained, watching, hoping and fearing the next step. Dawn broke over the human colony, painting the planet's surface in shades of red and gold. The battles of the night had left the land scarred, cratered by energy blasts and littered with debris from shattered ships. Smoke rose in thin columns, drifting into the sky as the surviving humans regrouped. Commander Jason Hale moved among them, his expression serious but calm. He had sensed that the alien fleet's behavior last night was unusual, and now he had a stronger suspicion. Someone in their leadership was different. Someone familiar. Far above, in orbit, the alien Queen Zarina watched the colony. She had ordered her fleet to hold position overnight, giving the humans space to regroup. Her officers were confused and uneasy. Holding back against an enemy at full strength was dangerous, but Zarina had her reasons. She had made a promise to herself that she would not act recklessly. Her heart, or what remained of her humanity, would not allow her to strike recklessly at someone she had once loved. Zarina prepared to land personally on the planet. She needed to see Hale, to understand whether the man she once knew could still be reasoned with. She had to face the past she had buried beneath years of alien ambition. The landing was precise. Her ship descended smoothly through the atmosphere, landing in a clearing just outside the colony's main defenses. Smoke and dust swirled around her as she stepped from the craft. Her tall frame and alien features caused the humans guarding the perimeter to pause. Weapons raised instinctively, but Zarina made no hostile move, her posture calm, non-threatening. Hale, observing from a distance, saw the landing. His instincts screamed that something was unusual. He had faced alien invaders before, but the deliberate precision, the lack of immediate attack, it was different. He ordered his team to hold fire and approached cautiously, scanning for threats. Zarina moved through the clearing with deliberate calm, her eyes fixed on the approaching humans. Each step brought memories flooding back, shared laughter, plans for peace, quiet conversations in laboratories that now seemed like another lifetime. Hale arrived at a safe distance, his posture tense but controlled. "Who are you?" he demanded, voice firm. "Identify yourself." Zarina stopped. The voice, the tone, the cadence, it was familiar. She studied him carefully. The memories were too vivid, too precise to ignore. Slowly she spoke. "Jason." "It's me, Elena." Hale froze. His eyes widened in shock. "Elena? No, that's impossible." "I am Zarina now," she said, her voice steady, yet carrying the faintest trace of humanity. I did not want this, but I am here, and I am your enemy by duty." Hale's mind raced. The woman before him, the alien queen, towering, regal, commanding, was the same friend he had trusted years ago. The scientist who had laughed at his jokes, debated strategy, and believed in the potential for peace among worlds. And now she was the enemy. "Why are you here?" he asked, voice softer now but still full of tension. "Why lead this attack?" Zarina looked at him, conflicted. "My people, my empire, they demand loyalty. I cannot simply abandon them. But I cannot destroy you, Jason. Not without reason." Hale studied her, noticing the hesitation in her posture, the human emotions barely hidden beneath the alien exterior. He understood then that the enemy he had feared might not be what she seemed. "Then why fight at all?" he asked. Zarina's gaze dropped for a moment. "Because war has begun. My duty, my title. I cannot simply turn away. But I can control what happens here. I can prevent unnecessary death." Hale took a deep breath. "Then perhaps we can find another way. There must be a solution. We are friends once. We believed in each other." For the first time in years, Zarina allowed herself to remember the trust they had shared. It was dangerous and yet comforting. Slowly she nodded. "I remember, and I do not want to betray that." The tension between them remained, but a fragile understanding began to form. Zarina led Hale and a small contingent of humans to a secluded area, away from the main battlefield. Here they could speak freely, away from the eyes of soldiers who would not understand hesitation or mercy. As they walked, Hale studied her closely. Her appearance had changed, of course, tall, regal, and alien, with features that were no longer human. But her eyes, her voice, the way she moved, they all spoke of the friend he had known. He realized that the person she had been was still within her, guiding her decisions. "What happened to you?" he asked quietly. "How did you become this?" Zarina's eyes flickered with emotion. "I was taken. My body changed. My mind adapted to their ways. I had no choice. But the part of me that was human, it never fully left. That is why I hesitate. That is why I am here, speaking to you instead of striking." Hale nodded slowly, understanding the depth of her struggle. "Then we can stop this war," he said. "Together, we can find a way to prevent more bloodshed." Zarina hesitated. "It is risky. If my empire discovers that I am helping humans, they will turn against me. I could lose everything, even my life." "And yet you still care," Hale said quietly but firmly. "That is what makes you human, Elena. That is why you matter." A plan began to form between them. They would create the illusion of ongoing combat to satisfy the alien forces, while secretly orchestrating a ceasefire and negotiation. It required courage, precision, and trust, but both understood the stakes. Lives depended on it, and the galaxy itself could change based on their actions. Over the next few hours, Zarina and Hale worked together, coordinating movements from hidden vantage points. Zarina's fleet continued orbital maneuvers, appearing aggressive, but she carefully avoided strikes that could cause mass casualties. Hale managed the human forces, reinforcing defenses and guiding civilians to safety. Every moment was tense. Any misstep could ignite full-scale war. Meanwhile, on the alien flagship, officers noticed unusual patterns. Zarina was making decisions that seemed counterintuitive, holding back attacks in key areas. Murmurs spread among the ranks, suspicion growing. But Zarina's command authority and reputation kept dissent in check, for now. As night fell, Zarina and Hale met again in a temporary command hub. They had managed to avert the worst of the casualties, but they both knew the ultimate confrontation was inevitable. They needed a final plan to end hostilities without catastrophic loss. Hale looked at her, his eyes filled with trust and determination. "We can't just stop the battle. They will see hesitation as weakness," Zarina nodded. "We will need a demonstration of strength, something to convince both sides that the war is ending, without actually destroying anyone unnecessarily." Together, they devised a daring strategy, a simulated breach of the alien forces by human units, countered at the last moment by Zarina's elite guards, showing that neither side could win without enormous cost. It was risky, but it would force both empires to consider negotiation rather than annihilation. The following day, the plan went into action. Humans staged a bold strike, breaching alien lines. Zarina's forces responded, but at a controlled pace, showing power without excessive destruction. Observers on both sides began to realize that the fight was not what it seemed. Confusion and hesitation spread among soldiers. In the midst of the staged chaos, Zarina and Hale met on the battlefield, face to face for the first time in years. Words were unnecessary, they understood each other. Their combined presence commanded respect and fear, yet also offered hope. Finally, Zarina raised her voice to both armies. "Enough," she commanded, her tone resonating across the battlefield. "The war ends here. There is no victory in death. There is only survival and understanding." The soldiers paused, unsure. For the first time, they saw the humanity in their queen, the wisdom in her words. Hale stepped forward, his presence steady and authoritative. "We are capable of more than killing," he said. "We can choose a different path, one that preserves life and builds a future." A tense silence fell. Slowly, commanders on both sides began to communicate. The first steps toward negotiation were made. Plans for withdrawal, reparations, and dialogue were discussed. The war that had threatened to consume the system was averted, thanks to courage, strategy, and the bond between two friends who had once believed in a better future. As the fleets disengaged and the humans returned to their homes, Zarina and Hale stood together overlooking the battlefield. Both were changed, not just by the events of the war, but by the choices they had made. "You saved them," Zarina said softly, her voice carrying a hint of the friend he once knew. Hale shook his head. "We saved each other," he replied. "You remembered who you were, and that made all the difference." For a moment, silence reigned. Two former friends, now leaders of different worlds, shared a quiet understanding. Their past had collided with the present, and they had found a way to shape the future. Zarina knew the road ahead would not be easy. Her empire would demand loyalty. Her enemies would test her resolve, and the galaxy would continue to be dangerous. But for the first time in years, she felt the strength of her humanity guiding her, showing that even in the heart of war, compassion, courage, and friendship could prevail. And Hale understood that humans were capable of more than survival. They were capable of inspiring change, even across species and empires. Together, they walked from the battlefield not as enemies, but as allies bound by shared history, courage, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. The stars above continued to shine, vast and endless, but on that small blue planet, hope had